I hope you're doing well. In this series hosted by KVC Academy, what we're going to do is solve every possible question that ICAI has ever asked for the CA Foundation examination in the subject of business law. And to make it even more convenient for you, what I've done is we have divided every question based on the unit which it relates to so that you can study and revise all the questions unit-wise. So how I want you to go about this is once you're done studying Unit 1, revise Unit 1 and after that watch this video, because in this video we are seeing Unit 1, Nature of Contracts, all the questions that ICAI has ever asked from May 2018 up to January 2026. So only if you're completely thorough with the concept, then start watching this video because I want you to solve this simultaneously with me. Thereafter, once we are done with Unit 1, same logic for Unit 2. Finish watching the video, finish your revision, then go and watch the Unit 2 question part of it, and this will go on for all the 7 chapters that are a part of your syllabus. Let's start. Question 1. Mr. Ramesh promised to pay 50,000 rupees to his wife, Mrs. Lali, so that she can spend the sum on her 30th birthday. Cute. Now, Mrs. Lali insisted her husband to make a written agreement if he really loved her. Mr. Ramesh made a written agreement, and this agreement was also registered under law. However, Mr. Ramesh failed to pay the specified amount to his wife, Mrs. Lali. Now, Mrs. Lali wants to file a suit against Mr. Ramesh and recover the promised amount. Referring to the provisions of the Indian Contract Act 1872, advise whether Mrs. Lali will succeed. Now, when you look at the question, you might think of it in 2 directions. First, I'll tell you the direction which you're not supposed to look at it in. And ICAI has intentionally drafted this question in such a way to mislead you. So the first thing that you will notice here is that the relationship between Ramesh and Lali is that of husband and wife. So naturally, there is near relation, natural love and affection. Then, just to confuse you, they have also mentioned that this agreement is written and it is registered under law. So you are going to think in the direction that it can come under section 25 subsection 1, which is relating to consideration ka exceptions. However, the real mudda here, the question is based on whether the relationship or whether the intention of this contract is legal or social. And in this case, here, between Ramesh and his wife, Mrs. Lali, the intention was never to create a legal relationship because the purpose for which he promised her 50,000 rupees was so that she can spend the sum on her 30th birthday. And if you remember section 10, essential elements of a valid contract, one of the primary elements was that for a contract to be valid, the intention must be to create a legal relationship. Whereas there is no such intention here, it is simply to create a social relationship. Therefore, Mrs. Lali will not succeed in proceeding against Mr. Ramesh. So you will phrase your answer according to the provisions of section 10 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. For a contract to be valid, there must be an intention to create a legal relationship. Once you explain the provisions, then you will write the facts of the case and then you will give your conclusion. Applying the relevant provisions or applying the above provisions, Mrs. Lali will not succeed here as the relationship between them and the contract between them was that of a social nature and not of a legal nature. Whether you have to write the facts of the case or not will depend upon the marks. Here, since it's just 3 marks, you may choose to refrain from writing it. Just give a 1-line summary. That should suffice. Okay? So question number 1 done. Let's look at question 2. A shopkeeper displayed a pair of dress in the showroom and a price tag of rupees 2,000 was attached to the dress. Miss Lovely looked at the tag and rushed to the cash counter. She asked the shopkeeper to receive the payment and pack up the dress for her. Quick shopper, Lovely. I like that. Now, the shopkeeper refused to hand over the dress to Miss Lovely in consideration of the price stated in the price tag attached to the dress. So he completely refused to hand over the dress to her and said that I am not going to be able to give this dress for rupees 2,000. Now what is the question here? Miss Lovely is seeking your advice whether she can sue the shopkeeper for the above cause under the Indian Contract Act. Now, we had studied this topic in Indian Contract Act, which was relating to offer, and uske essential elements mein, uske under, we also learned one topic called as invitation to offer. Let me take you to that topic. Yes, we learned that an offer is different from an invitation to offer. It is the invitation to offer which happens first, then we have the offer, and uske baad we have the acceptance. So, one of the examples was point 2. Display of goods for sale in shop windows, which is exactly what happened here. The shopkeeper displayed the dress for rupees 2000 with a price tag on, and Lovely got attracted to that. But display of goods with the price tag on is not an offer. What the shopkeeper here actually did was simply an invitation to offer. So he was inviting Lovely to make an offer. Going back to the question, you can read the question once more. What the shopkeeper did here is an invitation to offer. What Lovely did was an offer. She went and made an offer to the shopkeeper saying, I would like to purchase this dress for 2000 rupees. Will you be able to sell it to me? That is how Lovely is supposed to phrase that offer. And any offer by any individual, if the offeree wants it, he will accept it. If the offeree does not want it, he may reject it, which is exactly what the shopkeeper did here. The shopkeeper rejected the offer, and rejection of an offer is not wrong at all. This is the shopkeeper's wish whether he wants to sell the dress to her or not. So, will Lovely succeed at the end of the day? No, Lovely will not succeed in filing a case. She cannot sue the shopkeeper for the above cause. A very simple question back in 2018 November, again for 3 marks. This topic, offer is different from an invitation to offer, is quite important, okay? Conceptually important. All the 4 cases, we have 4 different examples for this. That is also important. And then you also have difference between an offer and invitation to offer. The exact difference. I would request you to study this as well. This is directly from the ICAI material itself, and if you write this in your provisions, your answer will be to the point and precise. Okay, let's move on to question 3. Question 3 looks like a simple direct question, back again in November 2018 for 5 marks. The question is, explain the modes of revocation of an offer as per the Indian Contract Act 1872. Modes of revocation. Simple topic, direct question. I believe you have about 7 points. All the 7 points, side points plus explanation. Okay, they have clearly given explain. Even if they have not given the word explain, I would like you to give a little bit of detail also along with that. Okay, direct question completed. 4th one also is a direct question. Define the term acceptance under the Act and explain the legal rules regarding a valid acceptance. Acceptance is defined under section 2 clause B. Once we write that definition, you have about 7 to 8 legal rules. So you will write those legal rules. Again, a direct question, January 2021 for 7 marks. Very nice. Okay, so question 4 done. Let's look at question 5. Question 5 looks like a fun case study question. And let's see what they have asked us. Mr. B makes a proposal to Mr. S by post to sell his house for rupees 10 lakhs. What I'll do for this question is, I'll draw a diagram along so that you know how I want you to approach the question. Take the first sentence for example. Mr. B makes a proposal to Mr. S by post to sell his house for rupees 10 lakhs. Now, if you put this in a graphical form, right? B makes a proposal to S. Proposal is offer, which is explained under section 2A. So I will just write 2A instead of offer, and it is by post. Okay. Now, this letter is posted on the 10th of April 2020. Who posted this letter? Mr. B posted this letter. So he made this offer on 10th of April. Okay, 2020 need not be written. It is obvious because the whole question has only 2020. Now, this letter reaches S on the 12th of April 2020. Let's note down that as well. Reaches S on 12th of April. He reads the letter on the 13th of April 2020. Noting down that he reads it on 13th of April. Okay, till here we are finished. Moving on. Mr. S sends his letter of acceptance on the 16th of April 2020. So this was about offer, right? This whole thing was about offer. Now we will look at acceptance. Just making it simple for you so that you don't have to keep reading the question again and again. So what happened here? S, let me write it that side, sends his letter of acceptance is under 2B, so I'll write 2B, to Mr. B on what day? 16th of April. This letter of acceptance reaches Mr. B on the 20th of April. Okay. Now, on the 17th of April, Mr. S changes his mind and he sends a telegram withdrawing the acceptance. He is taking back the acceptance. So, when you are taking back something, we term this revocation. So, what is S doing? He is revoking this acceptance. And when is he revoking this acceptance? On the 17th of April. S is revoking this on the 17th of April. Proceeding further, this telegram which contains the revocation, that telegram reaches Mr. B on the 19th of April 2020. Okay. So this was the entire case. Now we don't have to read this paragraph. We have a pictorial representation of what has happened here. It becomes easier for us to navigate the question. So, explain with reference to the Indian Contract Act 1872 on which date the offer made by Mr. B will be completed. So the question here is relating to offer. Question number 1. Sub-question 1 is relating to offer. So we don't have to look at this at all. We are only going to look at this diagram. And the question is, when will this offer be completed? Now, the topic here is relating to communication of offer and acceptance by post. One of the first rules you learned there. When is the communication of offer complete? Communication of offer is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to who it is made. The offer is made by this person to this person, and it is completed only when it comes to this person's knowledge, not when it reaches this person. Just reaching of the post isn't enough. The person has also got to read the letter. And when did that happen? On the 13th of April. So our direct answer to the first question will be 13th of April. Of course, you will have to write the rule, then you will have to give the explanation and the conclusion for it. Now let's look at question number 2, sub-question 2. Discuss the validity of the acceptance. For one instance, let's just forget that revocation happened here. We will stick only to this part, just the acceptance part. Okay, forget the concept of revocation, forget that revocation has happened in this case. According to the communication of acceptance via rules, we have two rules. One is from the point of view of the proposer and one is from the point of view of the acceptor. Communication of acceptance is complete for the proposer, that is for the offerer, when the acceptor has sent his acceptance and is not going to be able to take it back. And communication of acceptance for the acceptor is completed when it comes to the knowledge of the proposer. Right? So if you apply that rule, here communication of acceptance for S is supposed to be completed on the 20th of April. Now, we could have left it right here that the communication of acceptance for S is complete on the 20th of April and for B would be completed on the 16th of April. But the issue here is that this acceptance has been revoked. So before we see the answer to this, let's revise the rules regarding revocation. According to the rules of revocation, an acceptance can be revoked at any time before it has already reached the offerer. Now in this case, has the acceptance already reached the offerer? No. The acceptance has reached only on the 20th of April. That means Mr. S has the chance to revoke his acceptance way before that. And he has done that. he has revoked the acceptance on the 17th of April itself. Not just that, the telegram which contains the revocation, that telegram also reached before the acceptance. So imagine the offerer's position. The offerer has got a letter which talks about the revocation of acceptance even before the acceptance has reached him. So obviously the acceptance is not going to be valid here because it has already been revoked, and according to the rules of revocation, an acceptance can be revoked before it reaches the offerer. Okay, before the acceptance reaches the offerer, which means before the communication of acceptance is complete for S, that is the acceptor. You will have to be very thorough to understand what I am saying right now. Okay? Now let's look at the last question. The last question is telling us what would be the validity of the acceptance if the letter of revocation and if the letter of acceptance reached together. That means what they are trying to tell us, instead of 19th, the letter of revocation, let me erase this. The letter of revocation also reaches on the 20th. So both revocation wala letter as well as the acceptance wala letter reaches on the same day. Now for this, we have to again revise the rules regarding revocation. Revocation is complete for the person who makes it. When he makes it, there is no janjat at all that it has to reach the other person. It is complete for the other person when it comes to their knowledge. So here, revocation is complete for S. On which date? On the date he makes it. When did he make the revocation? On the 17th of April. So yes, our answer would not be different at all if the letter of revocation and the letter of acceptance also reached together. The acceptance would still be invalid because here S has revoked the letter of acceptance on the 17th of April itself. So revocation would be considered absolute and not acceptance. Okay, simple question, but it was asked for 6 marks. You see the marks? 6 marks. So rules of communication of offer, communication of acceptance, and the revocation rules are required for answering this question. Let's move on to question 6. Question 6. Yes. X agrees to pay Mr. Y 1 lakh rupees if Y kills Z. Ouch. Okay, let's put this in the diagram form. X is agreeing to pay Y 1 lakh rupees if Y kills Z. So we all know that this is illegal. Itna to hame pata hai. Okay. Now, to pay Y, X borrows 1 lakh from W. Okay, so we have W who is paying X 1 lakh rupees. And this W is also aware of the purpose of the loan. So W ko here, he knows that the loan taken by X is to pay Y. And why is X paying Y? X is paying Y in order to kill Z. Very simple. One person has taken money from somebody in order to pay another person to kill a third party. ठीक है. Here, what happens after? Y kills Z. ठीक है? Y has done his task. Now, X is refusing to pay. Obviously, there was no doubt about that. X is refusing to pay Y for the task which is done. Now, X is also refusing to pay the loan to W. Wow, Mr. X, first of all, you perform an illegal act. Then you don't pay a person for that, nor do you pay the person that you have borrowed money from. Okay, doesn't matter. We'll see what happens in this case. The question is, explain the validity of the contract between X and Y. Let's call this contract number 1. Between X and Y, and between X and W, contract number 2. Now, before we proceed, this contract where X is borrowing 1 lakh rupees from W, can I call it a collateral contract or a connected contract or a related contract? Of course I can. I'm going to call it collateral contract. Now let me also tell you why am I calling it a collateral or a connected contract. Because the purpose of taking this loan is known to W, and only because of this contract is taking place. Right? Only because X has to pay Y 1 lakh, X is borrowing 1 lakh from W. So therefore, I'm going to call it a collateral contract. Now, let's understand whether it is valid or not. Take a minute, see if you're able to recollect anything. You know the first part. I know that you know the first part. The first part is obvious, that the agreement between X and Y is obviously void in nature. Why is it void? It is void because it is illegal. According to Section 10 of the Indian Contract Act, there were a few essential elements, and one of the essential elements was that consideration should not be unlawful. Here obviously the consideration is unlawful. Plus, according to Section 23 of the Act, which you may not have studied yet if you have only finished Unit 1, but it comes across in Unit 3. There we learned that if your objective, any purpose, and the consideration is unlawful, the agreement is forbidden by law and it is illegal, and any illegal agreement is void. And one more thing which you have learnt in Unit 1 is that if the main agreement, this is the main agreement, right? Only if this is the main agreement, this will be the collateral agreement. If the main agreement is illegal, the collateral agreement will also always be void. So our answer to the second one also is very clear. The agreement between X and W is also void. And this was asked for 4 marks. Quite an easy question. Question number 7. Mr. A offered to sell 25 chairs to Mr. B at 1,500 rupees per chair on the 12th of February 2024. A also promised B that he would keep this offer open till 15th to 2024, which is 15th Feb. So this is nothing but an open offer. What's an open offer? An offer which is valid for a period of time. It's also called a standing offer or continuing offer, right? Continuing. However, on the 13th of on the 13th of Feb 2024, he sold those chairs to Mr. C at 1,700 per chair without the knowledge of Mr. P. He saw more munafa here, he sold it. Okay? What happened here? A had made an offer to B and he had told B that this offer is open until 15th of Feb. So up to 15th of Feb, this offer was open. Meanwhile, what did he do? He revoked his offer. And how did he revoke this offer? By selling those 25 chairs to C at a price of 1,700. Here it was offered at 1,500. Not relevant. Anyway. So, he did this without the knowledge of Mr. B. Now, Mr. B communicated the acceptance of the above offer on the 14th of February. Acceptance was given by B on the 14th of February. While A has already sold these chairs on the 13th of Feb to Mr. C. And of course, B is unknown about it because he accepted the same offer on the 14th of Feb, thinking that it is open up to 15th of Feb. Now, advice with reference to the provisions of the Indian Contract Act, whether B can claim damages from A. Tell me, what has happened here? Revocation of offer has happened here. And how has revocation of offer happened? By the offerer making this offer to somebody else and that somebody else has accepted it. So technically, was there an obligation that A had to sell these chairs only to B? Of course not, because there was no contract between them. A had simply made an offer to B. Had B already accepted that offer? No. Mr. B had not already accepted that offer. So there was no valid contract between A and B. So on what grounds is B claiming this damages? Obviously, B would not be able to claim these damages since it was an open offer. A has sold it to somebody else and it was sold way before the acceptance. Yes, there would be damages involved had A sold these chairs to C after B had accepted it. Because once B has accepted it, there is a valid contract and A is bound by his obligation. But in this case, the acceptance by B is given on the 14th and the chairs are sold to Mr. C on the 13th itself, which is before the acceptance. Therefore, answering the question, B cannot claim any damages from Mr. A. Very simple, very easy, just for 2 marks. Next one. Do not go by the length of the question. Believe me, if we go through this question in detail, point by point, it will not seem as complicated as it looks. Let's start. Bright Scholars is a prestigious school in Delhi. The school invited online applications from eligible students for 100 seats of preschool classes. Okay? The school indicated in the application form that the list of provisionally selected students would be displayed on the school notice board and on the website on the 15th of April 2025. Okay? Those students who will pay the admission fees online and physically submit all the documents prescribed in the application by the 18th of April will be confirmed. So only those students who will pay the admission fees online and physically submit all the documents prescribed in the application by 18th of April. So there is a time limit given along with 2 conditions. This is condition number 1, paying the admission fees online. Then there is a condition number 2, which is physically submitting all the documents, plus there is a time limit. So I will put that under condition 3. Though it is not a separate condition, it's just a time limit, I will put a point 3 here. Now what happened? Vishal's son Akash was provisionally selected. Good on you, Akash. Then Vishal paid the fees online on the 16th of April 2025, which is condition number 1. He's done that. Okay? But failed to submit the prescribed documents by the 18th of April 2025. So condition number 2, not fulfilled within the time limit. Okay. And on 19th of April 2025, Akash's admission was cancelled on account of non-submission of the documents without informing Vishal. Okay. And all the fees paid by him was refunded to his account by the management of the school. Fair. Conditions were not met. The admission was cancelled or the admission was revoked. I don't see anything wrong in this. Do you? Let's see what they are asking us or what Vishal saw as wrong. Vishal contended that he was not informed about the cancellation of the admission. As he had already paid the fees before time, Akash's admission could not be cancelled by the school management. Okay. Second, he also says that he could not submit the documents as he was out of town from the 16th of April to the 20th of April. And since this was physical submission, if he is out of town by the 18th of April, he would not be able to submit the documents physically. Okay. Analyze with reference to the provisions of the Indian Contract Act whether the contention of the school to cancel the admission of Akash without communication was valid. So what has happened here? There is revocation. Revocation of the acceptance which is made. And why did the revocation happen? Because the conditions were not met. Simply because the conditions were not met. Now Vishal is saying, boss, I paid the admission fees online. All that I did not do is submit the documents physically and I was not in town for me to do the submission. So you have to revoke, you cannot revoke my son's admission. You have to continue the admission. I will come and physically submit the documents. But if you see the criteria or the conditions that were given by the college, first one was to pay the admission fees online and the second one was to physically submit all the documents. So it is not an or option here. It is and. And that means both the first and the second condition have to be met. And if you remember this modes of revocation, we had a few points there. One of those points was revocation can also happen by non-fulfillment of the conditions prescribed in the offer. So yes, the college had made an offer that if you do all of this, it will be considered as acceptance. Plus, his name was provisionally selected also. But what he did not do was follow the conditions therein, and because the conditions therein were not followed, the college or the management of the school revoked the admission, which is absolutely fair because revocation can be done for the reason of non-fulfillment of the conditions prescribed in the offer. And since Vishal here did not fulfill the conditions, the revocation which was taking place or which happened by the school cancelling the admission of Akash without any communication is absolutely valid. So in your provisions, you will explain the concept of revocation. You could even write the point of lapse of time. The idea here is that the physical documents have to be submitted. The documents have to be submitted physically by the 18th of April. And Vishal here has failed to do that. He said he would be able to do that after the 20th. I'm assuming since he's back in town, he'll be able to do that. But again, you have not completed the conditions within the time limit. Therefore, the offer has lapsed for you and by non-fulfillment of the conditions prescribed here. So this has to be a part of your provisions. Then you will explain the facts of the case, a brief summary of this. Then you will give your conclusion. The conclusion may, you can say, applying the above provisions of the Indian Contract Act 1872, the school's action to cancel the admission of Akash without communication is valid because Vishal did not fulfill the second condition and the fulfillment of both these conditions were required for the contract to be valid. 7 marks, January 2026. See, I told you, it's just the length of the question that looks like a lot, but when we go to the detail, point by point, it does not seem that difficult at all. But you have to be very conceptually thorough to solve this. Let's proceed to question number 9. Radha invited her 10 close friends to celebrate her 25th birthday party on the 1st of January 2023 at 7:30 p.m. at a well-known hi-fi restaurant at Tonk Road, Jaipur. Okay, good for you, Radha. All the friends invited accepted the invitation and promised to attend the said party. Great. Now, on request of the hotel manager, Radha had to deposit 5,000 rupees as a non-refundable security for the said party. On the scheduled date and time, 3 among the 10 friends did not turn up for the birthday party and did not even convey any prior communication to her. Okay? Radha, enraged with the behavior of the 3 friends, wanted to sue them for the loss incurred in the said party. I know you're listening to this and you already know the answer, but let's see what they have asked. Advise as per the provisions of the Indian Contract Act. You'll advise them. Now, would your answer differ if the said party had been a contributory 2023 New Year celebration party and not something that Radha was hosting on account of her birthday? That's the second question. Let's look at the first point of view. Advice as per the provisions of the Act based on the information given till here. You advise me. For now, we have seen so many concepts, right? You advise me whether Radha will be able to sue the 3 friends or not. Absolutely not. Section 10, the primary section in this unit, tells us that for a contract to be valid, the intention should be to create a legal relationship. It's pretty obvious here that hosting a birthday party, inviting your friends for the birthday party, and the friends not turning up seems to be a social concern and not a legal concern. So will Radha be able to sue them? No. Radha will not be able to sue the 3 friends for the loss that is incurred in the said party. However, if instead of the birthday party, it had been a contributory 2023 New Year celebration party, then there is a legal factor involved. In that case, Radha would be able to sue them because they had to contribute for the same. So that is a legal concept, this part. The second part of the question is looking at it from a legal angle, whereas the first part is looking at it from a social angle. Okay? 4 marks. Write your provisions, facts of the case and conclusion. Simple question. Question 10 seems nice, cute and direct. Distinguish between a void contract and a voidable contract according to the Indian Contract Act. We know the meaning of a void contract, a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law, and the meaning of a voidable contract, a contract which is avoidable at the option of one or more of the parties but not at the option of the others. So this is a direct question from your study material. I believe there are 5 differences. All you have to do is understand the concept, then memorize it and paste it here. Guaranteed 5 marks. Okay. Let's continue. Next question. A mobile phone was displayed in a shop with a price tag of 10,000 rupees attached to the display box. As the price displayed was very less compared to the MRP of the mobile phone, why a customer rushed to the cash counter and asked the shopkeeper to receive the payment, take the payment and pack up the mobile phone. So why is rushing to the shopkeeper and he's saying, boss, pack this phone for me and take your 10,000 rupees. It is way less than the MRP. I am not going to risk it. I am going to buy this phone right away. Little did one know that the shopkeeper refused to hand over the mobile phone to Y in consideration of the price indicated in the price tag. So the shopkeeper is like, nah, why? I am not selling this phone to you. Do not ask me why. Y seeks your advice whether he can sue the shopkeeper for the above cause under the Indian Contract Act 1872. Sounds familiar? Obviously sounds familiar. We saw a similar concept in these questions itself. It is the same as invitation to offer. Display of goods with the price tag does not amount to an offer. So what the shopkeeper did by displaying that phone was he was inviting Y to offer. Then Y made the offer and the shopkeeper has all the right to reject it or accept it. In this case, he has rejected it and Y cannot sue the shopkeeper because what the shopkeeper did was simply invite Y to make an offer. I think it's sue the shopkeeper. Okay, anyway. Okay, December 2023, just 3 marks. Simple question. Write the provisions and provisions may write the meaning of invitation to offer, the concept of offer, your facts of the case and conclusion. Yes, I believe this is the final question. Again, this question has 2 parts. The first part carries 4 marks and the second part carries 3 marks. Okay, 4 plus 3. Let's approach it one by one. Mr. X visited a Cosmo Mega Mall at Nagpur, which has a variety of items for day-to-day use. The mall has a self-service system. Mr. X took a basket, picked up 10 different items of his choice and reached the cashier for payments. So we have Mr. X and we have Cosmo Mega Mall. The cashier accepted the price of 9 items but did not accept the price of the remaining 1 item, which was at the highest price of 10,050 among the 10 items. Okay. Decide as per the provisions of the Act whether the Cosmo Mega Mall may be compelled to sell the said article to Mr. X. Just now we did this. Again, the Cosmo Mega Mall is not compelled to sell the article. And why not? Because display is simply an invitation to offer. And here, the mall has a self-service system. So when there is a self-service system, that means obviously there is a display of goods and that only amounts to an invitation to offer. I'm not going to repeat the entire thing again. You know the provisions and you know how to conclude it. Okay. Part 2. This was for 4 marks. Part 2. Mr. A.T. completed M.Tech qualification in April 2022. Good for you, Mr. A.T. He got married with Miss Priya in November 2022. Again, good for Mr. A.T. He got an appointment as a technical consultant in a very renowned company in the US on the 2nd of February 2023. Good, what a nice year for him. He promised his wife that he will send 30,000 per month for her daily routine expenses. So we have Mr. A.T. Now his wife is into the picture. Okay. Mr. A.T. went to USA on the 25th of October and then he never sent any money to his wife. Mr. A.T. Okay. Mrs. Priya was not in a position to meet her daily expenses. She was facing severe financial issues regarding rent and other maintenance expenses. On the 20th of March, during her telephonic discussion with Mr. A.T., she came to know that he would never send her any money. Yeah, Mr. A.T., why make a promise that you cannot keep? Now, due to her financial hardships, she decided to file a suit against him for 7,50,000 rupees. Okay. whether Mrs. Priya would be able to recover the above amount according to the provisions of the Indian Contract Act 1872. So, we have Mr. A.T. and we have Mrs. Priya, where Mr. A.T. has made a promise and now he's not fulfilling that promise. Can Priya file a case on Mr. A.T.? Unfortunately, Priya will not be able to file a case on Mr. A.T. because this is a social agreement between them. It is not a legal agreement. We have a landmark case, Balfour versus Balfour, to support this. Here, the husband had simply promised his wife. There was no proof of that promise. It was just an oral promise that he will pay her 30,000 rupees per month. There was no intention to create a legal relationship, and therefore, since our essential elements tell us that for a contract to be valid, the intention must be to create a legal relationship, which is missing here. So therefore, according to section 10, this contract between Mr. A.T. and his wife, Mrs. Priya, is not valid. It's merely a social agreement, and social agreements are not enforceable by law. So this was for 3 marks. I'm sure by now you will know how to draft your answer. These were all the questions that were relating to Unit 1 from the past examination papers, okay, from the ICAI Foundation exam papers. So what I want you to do after this is finish studying your Unit 2. You can watch my video on Unit 2, then revise Unit 2 on your own, and then watch the video which has all the solutions of the questions relating to Unit 2. In a similar fashion, we have solved Unit 2 also, and the same procedure you will apply to all the units. But do it unit-wise. It will help you understand how to approach the studies in the other units better. Okay? Alright, I'll see you in the next video. I hope you have a nice day.